Hey everybody, this is Blue, and today I want to talk about character creation. I've been doing a lot more research in the D20 system, that is Dungeons and Dragons and all of its related clones. And the more and more I look at it, the more and more I feel that it is such a crappy system. I am spoiled because I have played the Rollmaster system for many, many years, and I am used to it. And while it has its downsides because there are a lot of graphs, charts to look at, Rollmaster, I think, is an advanced system. It can provide you with more entertainment because there's more details, more flexibility. And every time you add a layer of flexibility to the game, the better it is because it gives you more options. I feel that the D20 system has absolutely pathetic level of options, and it's more of a railroad when it comes to character creation. Railroading in role-playing is when the Game Master is forcing you to take this simple path and you lose your agency. Usually the Game Master is wanting to tell his story and he really doesn't care about the player and their PCs. Okay. So I think it's just a complete railroad when it comes to character creation because your options are so limited. They're vague and it kind of sucks. So this is the table for the fighter class, fighter profession, And you see that it's pretty damn cut and dry. Because you look at your base attack, your second list there, and they're basically already telling you what you're capable of doing. I like Rollmaster because it has so many skills. You can have multiple weapons. And here it just seems this is your thing here and this is it. And then you also add the simple fact that you can only go up to 20th level and then it's done is absolutely ludicrous to me, because Rollmaster, with their design, you can go beyond 20th level. You can go beyond 50th level if you wanted to. Because they use a purchase skill rank system with every level of advancement, you can go many, many routes on your character. And you just can't really do that with the D20 systems. You see here it's got its special and it tells you, oh, this is your little extra that you get. But it's cookie cutter because every goddamn fighter class gets the same. You really can't develop a little bit of flair to make this character unique, in my opinion. And here it is for the cleric, and I just think it's so boring. Again, it's giving you your assigned values and all that, and you are given this limitation on how many spells you can cast per day and what levels they are. I made a video probably about a month ago where I was saying how terrible that is, because with the Rollmaster system, you develop power points per level, and power points equals the energy that you can use to cast a level spell. So if you have 7 power points, you can cast 7 spell. Pretty damn simple, right? Well, they're not telling you in Rollmaster that, well, you can only cast this one level spell this many times. No, if you got the power points, cast it. So you can have somebody that does not want to waste their time on these pathetic level 1 spells and maybe just wants to do, would rather do 3 level 7 spells instead of 2 level 1s, 3 level 2s, and all that. Okay? Sometimes somebody wants to just do maximum firepower. And with the D20 system, you can't do that with spells. And so I find that just depressing. You're being railroaded into what you can do. Rolemaster gives you the flexibility so that if your elementalist needs to go and cast a couple fireballs or fire bolts, whatever, he can. He's not going, well, I can only cast 1 level 7 spell, so I can only do this once. So, you know, again, railroading just sucks. Skills. Now, this is why I hate the D20 system, because they use a vague skill system. You know, here is your list of skills. This is what I've seen for the total skills for 5e. That's a joke. And so they're going to say, here's your broad athletics. And anything that they feel that they could put under athletics, you can use your strength stat modifier on it. Woohoo. And so it's super vague, and I think that limits. Sometimes you need to have a specific skill, because if you go vague all the time, and you know, you can have a character that can do so many unrelated things, and your GM can allow it, and so it just takes away from the realism. Sometimes your character isn't that good in something, and you know, and is better at other things. That's why I like individual skill development, because you can make your characters unique. So you could have a fighter that is really good with his weapons, but also shield bashing. He might suck at fainting, and you know, that's fine. There's some uniqueness and limitations which makes things a little bit harder. And sometimes in role-playing, yes, it could be about telling a story, but there is about facing challenges and difficulties. And with this vague skill system, I just think that it takes away from the game. The players are being cheated. So I got to explain the Rolemaster system. This is skill development that you develop development points. Based on your dice rolls for your 10 stats, you get so many development points, and then you can spend them on whatever skills you want. The base skill is general skill is 2-5, which means that your first skill costs 2 development points and your second skill rank costs 5 development points. Awesome. And so some of the more common skills, you know, like running, if you know you're an outdoors person, could cost a little bit less than the 2-5 and cost 2-3. Related skills, maybe you are a scout, and so stock hide is really important for a scout, right? And so their development point costs are lower, 1, 2, 4, which means that they can get up to 3 skill ranks per level. And so that is awesome. And you got to go the other way now, because some skills should be harder to develop. And so they all have a higher skill cost. Uncommon skills you can have cost 3 development points, which would limit the player character to only developing 1 skill rank per level. And so this would show how different, you know, a fighter is in combat compared to a magician in combat. There is a good YouTube channel called Pack Tactics, And he does a lot of videos talking about how bad some professions are. Rolemaster takes care of this. You don't have bad professions in Rolemaster because all you have to do is change the numerical value of the base skill cost. And so you don't have to depend on these little special feats and all that to make this particular class profession better. You reduce costs on related skills, good skills that that particular profession class needs, and then you make the others more expensive. Continuing on, rare skills cost high, like 20. Shows that certain skills are not normally part of that profession. Okay, now when we go on in the video, I'm going to show a chart and where it shows that for a magician using combat skills, it's kind of high. You know, they can only develop one skill rank per level. But for a fighter, they can develop 3. And so on first level, that would mean that the fighter has 15 for an offense bonus, whereas the magician has only a +5 because they only have 1 skill rank. And this will be the basis of showing how certain professions are designed for certain tasks. I think that pack tactics sometimes goes a little bit over general and all that, and also it's because the D20 system sucks. You really cannot develop your character's other skills and make it unique. It's cookie cutter. And so this is from Character Law. This is from the Rolemaster system. This chart here talks about some of the more basic skills that your PCs would need in Rolemaster. You know, and you can see that there's a lot of different values. Okay, your first column, you got your professions. The next is your prime requisites. That's, you know, telling you basically what 2 stats you're going to be using the most for this profession. You got maneuvering in armor. You can see how for the fighter, the very first one, when you go to plate, it is a 2 asterisk, which means it can develop multiple levels. And moving in armor, but then if you go to the magician, it's an 11. They can only do 1 level, 1 skill rank per level, and it's expensive. So if you have, let's say, 100 development points, you can really only do 1 with the magician, you know, because you need to put your development points elsewhere. Whereas the fighter, you know, moving in armor, he could put a few in there and show how better suited he is for combat situations. Okay, for moving in combat. The next one is weapon skills. And depending on how you homebrew it, we do not assign a general like one-handed edge, one-handed crushing, you know, right across. It's the PC gets to decide what its primary weapon is going to be, and then that's the first set of skill costs. And if I remember, okay, 1-5, which on that version it means the first one's 1 point and the second skill rank is 5. All right. Now, if you take that, that's pretty good. Look at your magician. It's 9 and then 20. Because a magician is not designed for combat. But if you got enough development points, you could add a little flavor and make sure that, you know, he's always getting that skill rank for his weapon and making him decent in combat. And you can also develop at a higher cost an additional weapon so that you can have your mage that has his trusty old staff to defend himself, but in case he really needs to do something, He has his dagger, his adamant, right next to him that he could use. Okay? General skills. You can see you got like pick, lock, stalk, and hide. Now this is important here. This is one of the most used skills for me in my Rollmaster games. Okay, we have to find people. We have to hunt animals and all that. Now, if you look at that, you would see that the thief and the rogue are the best in that because they need subterfuge. They need to hide and yet seek out their targets. Fighter is decent, but not the best. Okay? And then your magician is a 5, and it's not overly expensive, but they cannot develop rapidly. So in many of these skills, the magician can only go up 1 skill rank in your more physical skills, and can go up multiple in the magic skills, which is your next set. And on. So like your directed spells, you can see a magician can do a 2-5, again, that's 2 skill ranks. But the fighter, most just non-spell user fighters are terrible in magic, and that's why it costs 20 development points to develop their magic skills. And so it's going to make it rare for them. And so I think this system is very balanced and gives you flexibility in creating and tailoring your character, but also making it within some guidelines so that it is not out of balance, which is very important in role-playing games, is to keep in your balance. This is the secondary skill chart. This is also from Character Law, and you can also see more of the various skills there. And how each profession is a different skill. So you can customize your character, and each skill set costs a different amount. So you can have your acrobatic person, your thief, maybe you actually have a dancer, and so for them acrobatics is really cheap. But for somebody that is, let's say, a barbarian, it's not very cheap. They can develop it, yes, but it's average cost. And then you can have somebody that is a brute, not really brute, let's go with a wimp. Let's say we have a scribe. Acrobatics is not a part of scribe's, profession, and so that would be very expensive for them to be an acrobatic. So you can develop all these skills. I believe that having all these skills is important so that we can, make our PC unique, special, not cookie cutter. Okay, and then another nice thing about Rollmaster is that you can give professions level bonuses. Not only can you make skills cost less or more depending on what the needs of that profession is, you can assign level bonuses, which basically on this will say that, like for the top one, fighter in combat is a +3. I mean, that's what he does, right? Is fight. And so for every level, he gets a +3. So when you compare this, you could have a fighter with if he just does 2 skill ranks, a +13, but if he's on certain professions, you can get up to 3. That would be a +18. Then you add your strength, constitution, and all that to it. Whereas your healer has 0 bonus. He's only able to get 1 skill rank advancement per level. And so he has his just a +5 plus his strength or agility bonus added on at level 1. Okay. So Rolemaster makes it where you can customize and you can really improve your character. Back when when I showed the fighter, they showed you what your base your attack base is. Sorry. Well, with this, there's so much variety that it's not cookie cutter, and so Rolemaster is better. All right. Now this is from my homebrew. I have over 300 skills, so you can be very unique. You can customize heavily on Rolemaster. Most of these are in the Rolemaster Companion series, and so you can make your character awesome. So now they come in groups, like the top one here is academic. And so everything that is based on knowing, this would be your memory and reasoning stats, exemplified. And so your knowledge in mythology, which is on that list. Mythology can be vague, but we're talking, it is mythology, not religious studies. Those are different skills. So you can have a cleric that knows general mythology, but also be an expert in religious studies. This would be the customs of a religion, whereas mythology is more of the ancient lore of a religion. You have law. I think if there's too much vagueness, again, we're going to go to that. It takes away from the uniqueness of your characters. So you can have a scholar, you can have a lawyer, you can have a scientist, and they have individual skills that are tailored for them to be the best in. And, that's one of the reasons why Rolemaster is superior. Remember that little list, if I remember right, it is this one. Yep. Well, yep, there we go. There's the skills, the vague skills. Well, I have that many skills right there. And then we got crafting. This is your building. Sometimes you have to have certain knowledge of an idea, of a concept, to build something. And so that's why architecture is also here, because you got to know how to build supports to build a building. Okay. You got drafting. Some people are going to say, well, that should be more academic, and no, because you're using your hands a lot. You don't draft something in your head, you have to write it down in paper. Social skills. Now, if you have a bard, this set of skills would be really low cost-wise for him. Okay? So that your poetic improvisation, should probably be a 1, 2, 3 skill costs for it, because that reflects on that profession's, focus. You can tailor your professions, or for you D20 people, your classes, and make them unique. They have all these subclasses where they change the feats and all that. No, you can just change a few of these skills, change their numerical cost value, and you can make a completely unique profession, because there is a lot of similarities between a bounty hunter and an outdoorsman, because they are both stalking, hiding, and looking for things, right? Okay. So you find where you think the bounty hunter has a little bit more difficulty compared to the outdoorsman, and you can create two unique professions. All right, the next set, you have your athletic. You remember how vague it was for the 5th edition system? Look at all the athletic here. Yes, there were some spots on the E5 crap, for climbing and swimming and all that. But there's so much more because, I hate the idea of vagueness because there should be a difference between swimming and boating, okay? And so I got to hit this one. Body development, which is right underneath the athletic part. This in Rollmaster is how you determine your hits, how much damage you can take. Some characters, like your fighter, your warriors and all that, they have low cost body development, they have the level bonuses, and so they can show that they can take a lot of hits. And then for your magicians, majority of your magicians, they're not into body development because they're not combat, they're using their heads. And so for them, it would be higher. And so you can make everything unique. I talked about combat, how you can have different weapons. Doing it this way, we develop every weapon unique. So you can have a fighter that has a two-handed sword, then a dagger. He has to develop them separately. Yes, they're both bladed weapons, but you cannot, dance around and do these epic little stabs with a two-handed sword, right? And then you cannot treat a mace like a warhammer or an axe. Now, each weapon should be developed unique. And for your fighters and all, they can have multiple weapons. They could see, well, that person there is in, let's say, rigid leather. You can use a mace for that a lot better because, that's not going to take impacts. And you can stab them with the dagger. But if they're in plate, you know that their plate is going to be really good against daggers. And so you need to use different weapons. And Rollmaster allows you to do that. Next set of skills is called Chi. This is what I created so that I can do some Dragon Ball Z type things because I've always liked that anime, and so that's why that's there. You have to develop each unique skill again because you don't want to say that all you need is a Chi bolt and you can do all this. No, Chi bolt's basic, and then you can do a Chi multi-bolt. You can create a special attack and all that, so that you have a wide variety of attacks, and you can show that they are all different. You can have your specialty and then your basic. I think that adds a lot of flavor to the game. And I don't think any D20 system comes close to this. As we go on, okay, general. This is your basic hands-on skills. Look at that variety that you have there. Okay, you got your boating there because that is more hands-on. General labor. I like that one because sometimes, and people are not going to like this for those of you who are sensitive, trigger warning, okay? General labor is something that people that are not well off might be doing. So you might have to clean the Lord's house. You could be actually a slave. And so it would cost you very little for general labor. But if you were trying to do something more fancy, it will cost more. You can play instruments, map usage, mining. Again, these are a lot of different things that I think need to be developed uniquely for each player character. Magic, okay. this has a lot of lore into it, but it also talks about using specific devices. You have to also attune to your devices. There's channeling energy, directed spells, ritual magic, and all these should be developed uniquely. And there's the PowerPoint development, which is basically like how I was describing body development. Well, PowerPoint development is, what the magicians, the spell users, would use mostly. And so this is a flex point to make interesting professions. I have 42 professions that are spell users, and so I can tailor all these skills to show how this spell user is different from that spell user. And so everybody can do something unique and I think that would make the player characters better and the players happier, because they're not doing cookie cutter, they're doing their thing. They are more able to develop a character as they see it in their head and not restricted in so many ways as the D20 system. Last one. And whoops. I forgot one box. No, I'm not going to restart the video. Anyway, that's more skills that we can use. Total of 300. So it gives you the flexibility. If I remember right, there is a total of 13 categories for skills, and you can tailor each category, in a positive or negative way for each profession. And I see that to be so minute and vague in the D20 systems. And so, here's your handful of options, whereas with Rolemaster, here's a buffet of skills, have at it. And so, like I said, Pack Tactics, he does a lot of describing different classes and subclasses because there is so little flexibility. That's why some of these classes have 20 different subclasses, because people are trying to make a class profession into what they want, but there are so many limitations that, it's kind of like, well, if I want this, I got to give up that, and is it worth it? And so I feel that when people get done with the character creation, especially on all these D20 systems, that they are going to be left disappointed. For me, I look at Rolemaster and then I look at D20s, and it's just like, that's boring. I mean, yes, you can vague and role play, and visualize, and you're required to use a lot more descriptive words to say what you want to do, which is awesome because that can add to the game, but the challenge isn't there. I think that there needs to be a stronger mix between set skills and role playing, and D20 doesn't have it. Rolemaster does. So everybody, please put your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. I know that some of you who play D20 systems and all that love it, and that's great. If you enjoyed the game, play the game. But I believe if you want something better, something that can let you beat you, then Rolemaster is better for you. D20 is the simpleton's version of role-playing, the basics. Rolemaster and systems that have a lot more skills will give you a better experience in role-playing. So again, leave your comments down below. Everybody, please take care. Be at peace.